Welcome to the Properties to Profit podcast. I'm Michael, your host. Excited to share with you my journey from a six-figure job to building a successful real estate business. Each episode will explore various aspects of real estate investing, from wholesaling and flipping to managing rentals. I'll share the lessons and insights I've gained, aiming to help you avoid mistakes and achieve your financial goals. Expect guest experts, valuable tips, and practical advice to guide you on your own real estate journey. Thank you for tuning in. If you find any value in this podcast, please subscribe, share, and follow me on social media. Let's turn properties into profits together. Hey guys, Michael here with Properties to Profits. On today's episode, I want to talk about how to determine, is it time to give up equity in your business? I've gotten this question so many times over my life, building several seven-figure businesses and working towards my first eight-figure business. And man, it's a tough question, right? Because I think you look at the richest people in the world, NVIDIA, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all of those guys, they don't own the majority share of their business. And they're a lot wealthier than I am. Most of them don't own more than 20%. Like Duong, the owner of NVIDIA, I think owns like 14%. And he's created a ton of millionaires. So I'm a firm believer, if you're going to become a billionaire at some point in your life, you're not going to own the majority of your business. I don't know of any billionaires who own the majority of their main business that made them wealthy. They've given up a lot of it, and that's why the company's so big, is because so many people act like owners because they get a portion of the upside. And so what does that look like when determining when the person that you're looking to partner with deserves equity? Because that's what it is. It's a partnership. It's a marriage, and it can be a messy breakup if you don't think it through. On one side, you have multiple different camps. So let's talk about some of those different camps of people who want ownership. On one side, it's a young person because they're like, oh, I'm going to work so hard. If I'm going to work this hard, I deserve ownership. And those are the toughest people to get ownership, right? Because a lot of times with a young person, you're dealing with someone who's so inexperienced and doesn't know what they're doing that they may cost you more than it's ever worth than what if you just paid them as a W-2 to continue on doing whatever they're supposed to do and learn through it. But a lot of young people are like, oh, why would I ever do that when I can do it myself? Well, most people don't ever achieve what I've achieved. I've literally achieved what 1% of the world will ever do, building out businesses doing $6 to $7 million in revenue. And we're going to break the 8-figure mark next year. And hopefully we could be somewhere in that low 20% margins. Like, that's not what most people ever do. So like when I hear someone say, I'm going to do that, great. I hope you are. That's amazing. I've done it. I'm nothing special. The only thing that makes me special is I work really hard and go to the people above me and pay for their services so I can understand what I don't know. And so when a young person approaches me, hey, I'd like some equity. Okay, great. What have you done? That's so amazing. And if they're typically young, I'm 32. So if they're younger than me, they typically haven't done anything special. They haven't done anything that I haven't done. And they probably haven't done it at a higher level. And so it's super interesting conversation because they want equity now so they can start benefiting off the profits that I've already built within my business. And a lot of times that's just not how it works. It's not a good trade-off for me. And so if you want to earn equity inside my business, you're going to have to put in so much work and effort and become the top tier dog. And most people aren't willing to take that risk. But if they were willing to take that risk and they were everything that they said they were, they would pay off huge. I believe our company will be doing $30+ million in 5 years at 20% margins. If you get 1% of $6 million, that would be incredible. That'd be $60,000 doing what you already do. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to do that? And if you were that person, you could argue that you would get more. So if you want equity, you got to be willing to do something with no guarantee. When you have no experience and you have time, that's generally most young people. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have that much experience. So they have one thing, time, because they don't have serious relationships. They don't have families to cater to, all of those things. So if you're going to commit that kind of time, here's the thing is, why would anyone guarantee it? You'd have to do something so incredible for them to guarantee it. And most young people haven't done anything incredible that they deserve a guarantee. But if I was a young person going to do it again and join a company like mine, I would come to the owner and say, hey, if I commit to doing these 3 things, I would look at what is the best salesperson done. And if I could beat them 5 years in a row and increase the bar 5 years in a row, I would say, hey, could I get 1 to 2% of that? That would be life-changing for someone in their 20s or even 30s if they could do that. And then you got to commit to that. You got to go do that work, because if you're producing $1 million a year for the company and no one else has done that, and do you think more people are going to float to that? Because honestly, you're not a unicorn, right? Most of us aren't that good, but we just need that one person who has an extreme work ethic to go above and beyond. And then the crowd follows that. You're a leader, and that's what it's about. And that's how you create equity, and you create so much interest within a company. So if I was a young person, I would just develop a skill set, whether it was sales. Sales is the easiest thing, whether it was operations. And another thing is, I can't rely on the owner to teach me everything. I'm going to go be a steward of what's best for the company and get better. The owner's not going to come to me and be like, hey, you're having a bad month, a bad week, a bad year, whatever that might look like. I'm going to make sure that I'm always hitting the minimum standard, and I'm setting the bar really high so that everyone else is always chasing me. And there's never going to be a month where I'm down. And I'm going to do that consistently for 5+ years to prove my worth. I'm going to always be educating myself. I'm going to sacrifice my time. That's what an owner does. They sacrifice. So if you want equity, be willing to sacrifice time. Be willing to educate yourself. Be willing to invest in yourself. Be willing to do something great. And I'm sure as hell not going to have any months that I don't hit company minimums. I'm sure as hell going to make sure I'm the first one in and the last one out every day. I'm sure as hell going to bring the energy, effort, and attitude, the 3 things I can control, to make sure that no one can match that. Not 4 days a week, not 5 days a week, but every damn day. And you bet your bottom dollar, there won't be a day I take off because I have a cold. I will only miss work for death, major instances, marriage, new child being born. But if you're going to do something great, you can't miss those days. So be that person. The next person I get is someone who thinks they've done something great. They're like, oh, I've built a $2 million wholesale business over the last 6 or 7 years. And like my first initial thoughts, I was like, I did that in less than 3 years. What have you done that I haven't done? I'm not saying there isn't a partnership opportunity, but it's like, I did it in a third of the time you did. We need to figure something out here. Maybe it's there who can do operations for me. And so if this person come in and is a really good operator and I'm really good at marketing and sales, maybe there is some upside there. But I'm not going to give them 50%. No, it should never be 50-50, because if it was 50-50, they would have the exact opposite and equal skill set of what I have. So if I'm really good at sales, they would be really good at operations. Their operations would be perfect, right? For me to give up 50. So, but we have a goal. If they feel like they're capped because of their sales ability and they're at 2 million, I believe my sales ability can go to 50 million and beyond. Well, I just need an operator that can help support those things, right? That's going to be where I'm capped. So if an operator has proof that he's done something like that in another industry, such as retail or the auto industry or something like that, I'd be willing to have that conversation, right? And it's going to be a tiered thing. It's not going to be like you get 20% tomorrow or 5% tomorrow. No, they're going to have to do something great and help build this team and build the revenues and the profits from where the standard is today and make sure it gets above here. And it's going to be a tiered step up, right? And the last person is the person who thinks they're good at sales. They've been doing it for a decade or 2 decades, and they think, oh, I'm so great. And I'm like, great. Show me your last 3 pay stubs where you're a 1% earner. Because if you're great at sales, you should definitely be a 1% earner. And in the United States, it's somewhere around $270,000. If they can't do that 3 years in a row, why would I give that up to them? I wouldn't. Now, if someone came to me and they're making $600,000 in sales and it can translate to what I do, where they're willing to work at it and do it, and they've done it for 3 to 5 years plus, hell yeah. If they've already done it and have the trophies to support it and the pay stubs to support it, and they've done something amazing, I would give up equity, because that would be a major milestone and shortcut and allow me to grow and help serve more people, which is my whole mission here. I want to serve as many people as possible. That's why I want $1 billion brand before I turn 50. And the reason I'm going to get there is because I'm committed to what the true goal is serving as many people as possible within and outside of the organization. And how am I going to do that? By having better people surrounded me so that we can grow this, help our communities out as deep as possible. So when going through deciding on a business partnership and giving someone equity, usually don't give it up day one unless they've done something so incredible it's worth it. 2, have a step up basis. Or 3, make sure they're buying in. I've given 2 employees equity in one of my companies, a flipping company I own with them. One brought me $500,000, right? They was like, hey, I can bring $500,000 to the table. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I don't get that kind of cash on a regular. Now as we're growing, it's getting much easier and easier to raise $500,000, but at the time it wasn't. The other person is a great operator and she just worked for me for 10 plus years. And I wanted her to see an extra $50,000 income a year and I want to get her 7 figures. Well, if she didn't earn 7 figures in the next 10 years, it's probably because she has ownership. And this is a path. We have a clear path to where she can make $1 million a year in 10 years. Now there are going to be headaches. Yes. But now that she's an owner, she's going to do those things. And so it starts out small. It's not big. An extra $40,000 to $50,000 a year isn't going to be life-changing to her. But it's the compound effect. And is she going to work harder when she makes an extra $50,000 a year, or is she going to work less hard, knowing that she can take that $50,000 and turn it into $300,000 a year in 5 years? Well, she's probably going to work a little bit harder because that's important to her. She wants freedom. She wants to leave a legacy for her family. She wants to be able to do vacations. She likes nice cars. And this is going to help her achieve those things. So that's what it's like. And I tell people, be cautious when giving out equity. I've given out equity several times because I went to someone who was more experienced than me, but they came with so much baggage, it didn't work out. And then I had to go through that divorce process. And that is not a fun process. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I'm sure it wasn't fun for the people I've worked with and that fell through. And it's not fun for you as the individual. So always be cautious who you're willing to give equity to. And don't give equity out. Make sure they've done something great. And a lot of times, it's okay if it's just time. The girl that I gave equity to, and I'm committed to making sure she can make 200 plus grand a year off of her equity on top of what she's worth. She would put in the time. She didn't deserve it year one, but she committed to the ups and downs. When problems arise, she just solves them. I don't ask her to solve them. She figures it out. She doesn't come to me with, what should I do today? She knows what she needs to do. She knows what moves the needle for the business, and she's an A player. That's what it takes. You have to be an A player. Majority of people aren't A players, and that's okay. We need a world full of B players to even C players, right? And unfortunately, we need the D players to know what we don't want to be. So there is good in everything that happens. We just need to find the good in it. And that's what you have to do with determining if it is the right fit to give up equity. So with that being said, if I found someone who could come run my whole operation and alleviate me to go raise more money or shoot more content, which would bring more employees, heck yeah, I would give out some equity here. Heck yeah, if I had a salesperson who drove $300,000 a month to my business, month in and month out for 3+ years, they would get a small portion of that pie. And that's what we're looking for. So if you are that someone, feel free to reach out. My Instagram is realestatemic02, and I will forward you to my hiring director. Just don't. Unless you've done something special, you're not getting equity day one. But if you're a hard-working individual and you just need leads and you just need some processes and you just need a great quality company to work for who takes care of its employees, we'd love to have that conversation with you because we're doing something great here at my home buying company. And we want to be the biggest home buyer in the state of Ohio and eventually go on to be one of the top 10 home buyers in the entire country. That is our goal. That is why we're going to have $1 billion brand. Is we want to impact communities across the country, and we want A players like you to be a part of that. Look forward to having a conversation with you. Let me know if there's anything else I can do here, guys. Thanks. Thank you for listening to the Properties for Profit podcast. I hope you found today's episode valuable. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and share it with others who might benefit. Follow me on social media for more updates and tips. Until next time, keep turning properties into profits.